Hello, hello, hello. Hope everybody's doing well today. Um, Timer here. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, we're good. Volume's good. We're good. Oh, welcome back to another weekly Skeleton Crew live stream discussion. We are back to talk about episode 5 titled "You Have a Lot to Learn About Pirates." And what an episode, right? What an episode that we received this week. Um, and I just, really, really, truly enjoyed this episode this week. And already looking forward to episode 6 on Tuesday night next, the week to come, as it's the day before the new year. It's basically New Year's Eve. And yeah, can't wait for what's to come per this very wonderful, very just fun show. And I'm glad that one of my buddies, one of my family members, he's finally getting around to actually watching it, because we do discuss Star Wars between the both of us. And I've just been pretty much just like, yo, you need to just hit play on episode 1, dude. Stop procrastinating. But he's a bit, or a whole bunch more busier than me. But yeah, it's all good. But let's dive into this episode. As always, if you're watching this stream later, you're always welcome to. You're always welcome to leave a comment, because, like I always say, I pretty much read all of the comments on any video that the comments are being put on. But let's dive into episode 5. Pretty much the beginning of the episode, we got Pops here, Wim's dad at work, looking like he's hard at work. But I didn't grab the screenshot, but I do remember the elevator behind him opening. He looked in the direction, but then he seen Neil's mom pop up, right? She popped up, and he was just like, what are you doing here? Why are you around? You might cause a scene. But it was just that, a parent being a parent, they're like, well, proper channels are not, flowing the way we need them to flow, so we're just gonna take it in our own hands, and I'm kind of, glad that she handed him this thing to be able to, basically plug into his computer to kind of speed up the process, right? Because I was like, oh my god, because originally when I was watching this scene, I was like, is she gonna get caught? Are there cameras in this building here at the job here? And I was just like wondering, curious, and pondering like what else could possibly happen. But of course we did get what we got here, because Wim's dad went to his station and pulled up the building information, and in the midst of all of that, that's when he looked over at the robot, and the robot decided to turn in his direction, and it started coming his way. I found this part hilarious because he did what he could do, and he pulled the thing out of the computer, and that's when the robot says, like, there was a glitch or something that happened at your station, I need to check it. And Wim's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I mean, excuse me, Wim's dad says, I don't know what you're talking about, but the robot's just like, hey, you need to just remove yourself from the station. Now, in the midst of this happening, a few things ran through my brain. Originally, I was thinking, he could put the device in his pocket when he pulled it the from his computer. But at the same time, that may have been suspicious. But then I thought, well, maybe he put it in his chair. But then that would have been suspicious even more because it would have been visible in the chair when he stood up. I was thinking maybe he could have dropped it, but then at the same time, I also was thinking like, well, maybe the robot has a sound sensory to be able to hear stuff, and that's of course, that's when it's asking him to show its hands because he feels like it's feeling like it's hiding something behind his back there, and he he just switches the thing out of his hand to the other. And I just thought that this was just funny. But in this situation, like I said, I just feel like that either one, any scenario may have not worked, and it would have just resulted in the same specific uh, response, and that is the robot bringing him to uh, Farah, Fern's mom, plopping it on her desk, like saying he had this in his possession. Do you need me to call security? Blah blah blah. But then that's when Farah's mom says delete all records of this conversation and shut down. For me, per this this thing, this continuously lets me know that Fern was paying attention to a lot of adult stuff at home, which is why she was able to control even the home robot. Um, and she just this, like I said, this specific spot with uh, with Farrah here respond with the quick conversation, quick action to nix this. But at the same time, I still wonder, like, are there cameras here, or are there specific devices that are listening in on any and all things? Because we're still pondering, wondering who the supervisor is. Some people are thinking it's a robot uh, uh, ran planet, like there's no supervisor. Then there's some other stuff that we're going to talk about per the episode itself that I found interesting from other fans of the show that were thinking, well, maybe it's this person instead, type of thing. But I'm at least glad that Wim's dad is just like, hey, like, supervisor's not gonna do anything. They already stated that back at the house. Like, what else? We need to do something. Um, Join us. Don't just be corporate puppet, basically. Your daughter is out there, my son's out there, other parents' kids are out there. Let's do something. Just sitting by and waiting for something else to occur, or something bad or whatever. But then that's when she just basically looks out the window, but then turns back to him and says, what else could we do? But that's pretty much that whole sequence, and then we get to this spot, because I was curious and wondering, once they got SM-33, aka Shmi, back on the ship, I was curious and wondering, like, what's SM-33's response going to be when they turn it back on? I do like that they tried to tie it down with some ropes. I personally, as soon as I saw it, I was like, it can rip out of that thing simple and easy and then start attacking, right? But per the conversation, they're just like, well, maybe we can rewrite its memory quick and fast. We turn it back on, and then we get the conversation between Fern and Silvo about who's scared to do what. But like I said, look at the ropes. Like, that there's no way that Shmi is gonna not, and we saw it anyway, right? Eventually, within 2 minutes of this conversation. But like I said, I do like the fact that they had this conversation between Silva and Fern about how who's afraid of what, type of thing. I just thought that was a little fun little jab at each other. But then I did like when once KB turned him on, he was just like, "What do you want?" he's like, what do you want? Like you're basically asking like, oh, you're interrupting my sleep, my slumber. Like, what do you want? And then that's when they have the conversation about knowing where Adin is, and SM33 name dropping the actual captain, which was Tak Renard, excuse me, and Silvo automatically knowing the name, recognizing the name, and him like really fully understanding. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the ship, but luckily I actually have the episode here on my TV. But the response from Silvo, I just love the scene because he was just like, man, like this is the legendary ship then that we're riding on. And then he goes into, I do like that he goes into, let me see if I can get this here. He does go into a whole brief story on yeah. Let's see if I can rewind it a little bit more. But he made that specific, like I said, he goes into storytelling of, oh, like this is the history of, blah blah blah. This is what occurred on the ship, and Renard and the crew, they, Captain Renard, he disappeared randomly, and I even like how he like leaned in to like it kind of reminded me of, if you've ever played Persona 3, the video game RPG. It kind of reminded me of my homie. I'm losing train of my thought on my homie, and I literally just played that game like 2 days ago. At least Persona 3 Reload, where they went into the whole ghostly thing in per the video game, per the scene. But it reminded me of this spot where he leaned in. It was like felt like the light should have dimmed down low, and then like a lighting from below his chin would have shot up into the sky, and he's like telling the kids like this is a spooky, scary story type of thing. It just reminded me of that when I saw this specific spot here. Let's see, where am I at here? But in the midst of it all, they're just like, hey, you this information. I believe it was Furnace that said to SM33, like, take us to the coordinates, and he just said, aye, Captain. He just like shot up, like I said, broke the ropes and just went right to the cockpit, and just started talking about the captain, the ship, the history and stuff a little bit more, and where they were actually heading to per the conversation. But in the midst of that, I did notice, per the scene, is that Wim didn't look too excited. And it was more so, it was even happening even prior to the scene. It was in the scene prior. He didn't look, because to me, per the scene, and it really unctioned what he was feeling moving forward, was that they're heading in the direction to get back home. And originally, how we noticed how Wim was, let's see if I can get here. Let's see. Originally, we see how Wim was super excited. He was basically a big kid, basically a little kid, just super excited to be away from home. But per the scene between him and Silvo, here is the fact that he's, he is missing home. He is homesick. But I do like Silvo's response here, where he's looking down on him. He noticed that he was crying. He was just like, oh, and then he was like, oh, and like, he was like, well, I need to. Originally, he was just like, I need to just like leave, not even attempt to even like console Wim here, but eventually he does. But per this scene, it does make us question, because he does. So Silvo does a couple of things here. Silvo looks to try to help Wim clear his mind from two different perspectives. From from a pirate perspective and from a what many of us are believing more and more is that he's probably more than likely a former Padawan, probably more than likely was around the time of the Order 66, back at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. And he, like I said, he again, per this conversation with Wim, he is discussing two separate sides of the same coin from his perspective, and that is, you know, trust your gut, not anybody else. But at the same time, he does go into the Jedi mythos of what is it? The attachments. Forget about them. Forget about your parents. Forget about, blah blah blah. Just do your own thing. Because that you if you have attachments and stuff that's gonna basically ruin your life or have a negative effect on your mind, affecting your body, and because we know our minds, our brain does affect our body in the midst of everything. Um, so per this specific scene, and then also with that, he does go into, um, he does end up quoting when he's pointing at Wim. He does end up quoting Qui-Gon Jinn, Master Qui-Gon Jinn, basically like my all-time favorite Jedi. Um, and he basically says to him, remember your focus uh, becomes your reality, and that's what uh, Master Qui-Gon Jinn said to a very youthful, very young Anakin Skywalker from uh, Phantom Menace. And I immediately got excited. I was like, "Yo!" Like he really quoted Qui-Gon Jinn here. But as we've been stating for a while, like there are a lot of different things that we're seeing from from the OT, from the prequels, from what I also found out because I wasn't fully paying attention. There were even some stuff sprinkled from referencing the sequel trilogy as well in this episode. It was just a mixture of a whole bunch of stuff in this episode. But there was something that specifically stood out to me that doesn't even consist of Star Wars itself, but it's still like an outer space type of a feel, from a different show that I'll bring up in a minute. Well, in a little bit. But I do like the fact that they put this here per this conversation. And a lot of people, because he keeps using the Force, Silvo keeps using the Force. There are some Star Wars fans believes that Silvo's not using the Force, but for me, I'm 99% sure he's Force sensitive, simply because usually in a lot of these shows from Disney, when they are using the Force for specific Force users, you hear the actual Force sound. We know what the Force sounds like. They're using that specific sound. They're using the Force sound itself whenever Silvo is actually bringing a projection toward, like bringing this projection towards Wim, bringing the key when they were back on Port Borgo, from the outside of the cell to inside of the cell, all of that stuff. But some people I've seen say that Silvo's using like a metal, like a thing that attracts metal only type of a device and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm 99% sure if it comes out that he isn't Force sensitive at all and he's just faking it, then cool. But I'm for me, I'm pretty much sure that he is Force sensitive. So, and even with per the conversation here with Wim, he's just like, if you're not a Jedi, how did you do that? And he like nudges his shoulder, smiles at him, and just gets up and leaves. So it's just like the more of the mysticism behind who Silvo is continues to be a thing. And then that's when we get them arriving on a ship. They're on it's arriving, excuse me, not on a ship, but on this planet here. Which we found out that information once we get from the outside to the inside, and they are, seeing everything around them. You even got like the music behind, in the background. That's very like a happyish type of a feeling of excitement, and you've arrived at a space and place that sounds, like relaxing, even per where they're headed. And we see these ships flying by, but then we get the the two god ships popping up, and they're just like, "Welcome to La Luna," and uh, um, they're like, welcome here. This is where people come for vacation, for spa, blah blah blah. Just to get away. Silvo responds, turning the radio on for them to hear the conversation. But then they found out that there's kids on the ship, and it was like, oh, this is supposed to be adults only. um, so it's just like they had to kind of fly on a whim, but at the same time, uh, um, SM-33 does again mention, like, this is Skull Ridge, but again they decided, this company or whatever decided to change it into La Luna. He's upset that it's SM-33 is upset that it's changed, but Silvo automatically knew what the place was, because this lets us know that he's been here before. And we find out information out a bit later. But I do like the fact that once we get to the space, we see that, this is Skull Ridge Mountain here. This is the place where SM-33 came with his captain and the crew. And it kind of reminded me of a little bit of Fifth Element-ish type of a feel. But then we get the welcoming crew, and this woman here, which I found out this lady is from Better Call Saul. I just can't remember off the top of my head the character's name that she played. But that was cool to have her here. But at the same time, per her response when they were landing, I love her facial expressions here. When they're landing here, the ship kind of like falls apart a little bit. But then that's when we get Silvo coming out, and he's like, this is from the Braticus or Bratric system. These specific four specific people here have arrived. It took a minute for them to even arrive. I found it hilarious that they used this thing here to come down on, come from the ship. Their own version of their own way of being, having a dramatic entrance. The clothing is hilarious that they're wearing. Silva goes into his own version of basic. That was hilarious. I thought that was funny. And the lady's like welcoming them here. We got the the water falling in the background, all of this stuff, because it basically kind of makes me feel like, oh, like this type of attraction, type of a place, somewhere is space and place where it's very expensive to come and lodge and stay at. But I do like SM-33's response here. He's like, man, they ruined Skull Ridge Mountain. I was just cracking up. Thought that this was hilarious. But I do like this show a lot because there's a lot of aliens in the show. I love aliens. I just really, really do. I love aliens. I'm probably going to look to do my own videos on the various aliens that I like. But we do get a backdrop of the whole outside, like I said, with the waterfall and stuff. I thought that was cool. Here, per the episode. Let's see, where are we here? But then we also end up getting, once they arrive and they're basically searching them for weapons and stuff, they do grab Silvo's knife, and he's like, his response is like, it's just a small knife. I just thought that was funny. When he pulled it out, it was just like a huge weapon. But, he's like, it's just a small thing. But they do give him this little drink here. He was excited about that, at least. But like I said, this part here reminded me of like Fifth Element, like the scenery, them, the people coming with the put over them and the kids' bodies to wear, but also with that situation, them, Silva using the force to re-grab his weapon to sheath it back on to his hip. But I do also like the fact that they did put this thing on SM-33, taking us back to C3PO because he had the same type of a thing on him back in the original movies. If I remember correctly, it was Return of the Jedi, if I remember. Um, but we actually see it actually in motion this time because we didn't really get a chance to actually see this. I don't remember it off the top of my head. Um, but we see that SM-33 tried to literally attack the guy who put it on him, and he gets shocked. So that was just hilarious. This is more just a comedic spot here for SM-33 because he's like, like, man, I wanna choke somebody, right? But we get the inside of the building. I did like the look of the inside of the building, but then we will see the mud spots to come, right? Let's see. Yeah, like I said, we got all this stuff. We have a lady over here playing a harp, a woman, alien person playing a harp, and we got other people just like I just was loving this whole situation. Like I love harps. It's very cool. And then that's when we get the very hilarious conversation. Once we get to where the what you call us are below, where they also bring up high level, high security because of specific. I believe it was a banking group or something like that. Um, that I believe, if I remember correctly, they are a banking group from one of the Star Wars shows or something like that from years ago. So there's a connection from I think the Clone Wars or the OT. I can't remember off the top of my head because I didn't write that down. I wrote some other notes down here. But I do like too that per this specific conversation with the lady here when they are talking about. I did like the kids like playing around in their clothes. That was funny. I just love the fact that they're still being kids in the midst of being around danger, being on this this mission to get home. They're still wanting to just play and just be kids. I just love that. But per the conversation here with the lady here, I do definitely like Silvo bribing her with the credits. When she's like, what's your reservation name that is logged in the book, and he's like giving her the credits, and she's just taking it, putting it, real quickly. I do like the fact that she's super quick. She grabs the credits real fast, and she just slides it down into her sleeve. He gave her a couple. Actually, I think he gave her 3 of them, maybe 4. Actually, no. You know what? He gave her much more than that. But once this conversation happened, this is what I wanted to talk about because we get the introduction to the character named Pocket. If I remember correctly, it's Pokkita. This young lady, she is the voice actor or actress for the character from I think it's Merida. Dang it. Oh, I thought I had it. It was on my phone too, and it disappeared because it's wild that I came across the Brave. Brave. She's the main character from Brave. The voice, the from Merida, I believe that was, if I remember correctly, from Brave. This is the lady here. But when I saw her and they're having the conversation, she does mention Silvo's other name that he gave her when he was last here and they met. It was Dash Senton. The kids recognize a different name. They're like, this is a brand new name that we never heard of. But her character, the reason why I mentioned this before about how there's something specific in the show that doesn't even, for me, I didn't think of it as a Star Wars thing, but it was more of a different. It was a show. And if you've never heard of the show, I highly recommend the show. If I remember correctly, it was 2 seasons, maybe 3, maybe 4. I'm just gonna go grab this real quick. It was just her the the skin, her skin that she has, the eyes, all of that. It reminded me of the show called Defiance, and there are characters called the Castians. They are, because again, per Pocket's character, she has this like white skin with these specific color eyes. Um, Give me 1 second here. I thought I had the other information. Give me a second. But again, Pocket reminded me um, of Daytalk and Stalma Tar from Defiance. Uh, like I said, reason being, soon as I saw her character reminded me of Daytalk and Stalma, the husband and wife of the TV show called Defiance. I highly recommend this show. It's a really good sci-fi show. These characters are Castians. They are defined as an aristocratic race of humanoid Votanus that originated on the planet Doribo and are known for pale skin and long blonde hair. And that's pretty much what uh, oh, I lost it. Give me 1 second. I have to go back and grab. I had to go somewhere else to grab this quick image. But her, like I said, her specific character reminded me of that, because her character does indeed have this pale skin. She has these specific eyes that, like I said, Daytalk and his wife have, and she does have long white hair. So it just to me, it just reminded me of those Defiance characters, the Castian characters from the show Defiance. But the one thing that does harken back to the Star Wars universe is the fact that she, after getting ready to leave from this conversation, she does look at the kids and tell them, like, hey, don't trust this, don't trust this Slimo. He, that was a quote that Anakin said back in the prequel trilogy, which I thought was cool. Little quick cool spot here. But then that's when once she leaves, once Paga leaves, that's when he's like, he slams all these credits down. He's like, look, give us these rooms and blah blah blah, and yeah, we're just gonna go head where we need to head to per our rooms. But I do like, once they get to the room, that Silvo's like, that nice lady. He's like, that nice lady, she could be big trouble for us. We need to kind of just like hurry up, because per this scene, he's like, look, we're in this room and blah blah blah, but we need to literally push to get the information that we need to get the heck off this planet here. But I do like that, like I said, like, the kids are being kids. They're jumping up and off on the beds and all of that stuff. But we do get a chance to see that SM-33 does give some key information, and that is this symbol here that he writes down. From what I noticed, I was like, that symbol sort of kind of looks familiar, that I forgot. I haven't fully dived into the High Republic, but I did find some information on social media that people were pinpointing towards the High Republic. This symbol reminded them of the Nihil. And the Nihil, if you haven't read the High Republic, the Nihil are basically a band of pirates. So this could be a connection to, this show specifically could be a connection to the Nihil, the High Republic, all of that stuff. But that's, still something that's still up in the, for me, that's new information for me. But that's something that could be possibly something a little bit cool. Where am I? But I do like that. like I said, the kids are still being kids, jumping up and down on the, they're. I feel like they're just tired, but from all of the trip, but they just, they're still trying to have fun. And Silva was like, "Did you hear what I had to say?" And they're like, "Yeah, we heard what you said." And he's like, "What did I say?" He's like, "Exactly the words that you said." Um, but he's like, "Look, we need to split up and blah blah blah." And they're like, "No, women." Neil wanted to stay together, and you know, I I know for sure that like out of all four kids, they all they're still technically not friends. So for them, not fully. So for them, it's like Fern and KB are still always going to be by each other's side, and Neil and Wimmer are still always going to be by their side. But they're still trying to still help each other out to get back to Ad-Aden. And they know that they still have to just work with each other just to get home. But at the end of the day, Silva's like, look, and I do like the fact that he was like responding like, we're not doing this, not the third. We just need to focus because there's pirates that are gonna be coming. We need to get out of there. But he does indeed establish that look, we're just gonna just focus and make it do what it do and get ready to get out of there. But then that's when we get the scene between Pocket and Brutus that she's claiming the bounty. And he's like, she wants payment up front. He's like, you'll get it once I get Silvo. He's sending 2 ships. But like I said, Pocket's character, like I said, still reminds me of the Tar characters from Defiance. Like I said, she has the pale skin, the long hair, the eyes, and all of that. So that's that. But then that's when we get this character. We have a hut popping up at the mud spa here. Who would have thought? When we had other characters, I think there was a Mune here. I think there was a couple other characters. This spot here was cracking me up because this one alien brings this hut some food, and it decides to grab it and eat it, but the character does blurt out saying "not again." So it lets me know that it's not the first time that this has happened to it. Probably won't be the last. But yeah, I thought that was funny. Kind of lets me know that the character is probably going to survive from getting ate by this hut. I just thought that was hilarious. But we do see, like I said, there's other characters. I think there's a Mune down here too, if I remember correctly. There's other aliens down here that we see in this very hot mud spa. And I'm also cracking up at the fact that they have SM-33 carrying their towels with them to, because there's like they're heading to the spa too, but they're kind of technically not. But they're really looking around, looking at these. I've seen these symbols here, and I was thinking, well, maybe the symbol might be sort of kind of here, sort of pointing in a specific direction. But that's not the case because this scene pretty much shifts to security being on edge, getting ready to go search for them specifically because he gave that. Silvo gave that one name on the invitation book. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was called. I forgot to write the name down. But I do also like the fact that Wim and Neil are using the walkie-talkies to chat with each other. Jedi 1, Jedi 2. I still like the fact that they're still having fun in the midst of all this stuff, but they do have like I said, the security guards is when stuff starts really picking up. And that's the thing. Per the episode, I think it only took like 15 minutes, maybe, just to get to this point where they're getting ready to just start going after the Silvo and the kids and stuff, and they're like running away and trying to hide. And we even have Neil here trying to hide away because he got noticed, but it was too late because they were coming in their direction anyway. Let's see. And that's the thing, I have so many screenshots. Luckily I do. Because they have this security coming up. They give the name that Silva wanted. They're like, yeah, like are you so and so from system or planet or whatever. He's like, run. He tells him and the kids to run. They're chasing after him and stuff. Hold on. But in the midst of all of that, that's when we get uh, Fern and KB as here down in the different section of a spa, and we meet Catholops, which sounded it really popped in my head. It sounded like sort of kind of like Chthon in from Marvel for a split second, because she Fern finds the symbol on the ground. I think I have the screenshot here. Yeah, she found the little symbol here to let you know, like, okay, this is where they need to be at, because they need to get down inside the thing here. Like I said, we meet Catholops here, very deep voice character, alien and stuff. Um, Basically a big alien, huge alien. And I thought, like, it was gonna attack them, but that's when Wim is calling, like, hey, like, we're in trouble, we need your help. But like I said, they are getting chased by these security guards and stuff. But I do like this spot here anyway, because KB steps up. She has that what you call it in her hand that she pulls out of her pocket. And they're like, oh, they're laughing it off, right? They laughed at her. I thought that was like, oh, like, are you guys going to laugh? Because I thought that she was going to do something even more specific, but she was smart with it. She took it and turned the knob on the thing and caused some of the, I guess, like, the mud to shoot out the side and hit the security guards. That way it benefited them to be able to just run away. So it just worked. It just worked out. Oh, and Silva punching the one behind them. That was good too. But then that's when they get down to where Fern and them are, and they meet. They also meet Catholops, and Catholops does take a sniff of Silvo's body fragrance and tells him, like, yes, because I guess per Fern's conversation, more so Fern, maybe KB too, per the conversation, they more than likely told him, like, hey, like, we're with this character, this guy, but we don't kind of trust him. But like I said, he takes a whiff and he's like, yeah, you're right, don't trust Silvo, right? So this is just more so pushing more to what's getting ready to happen later on in the show, in this episode, which I thought was hilarious. But then that's when we get the arrival of Brutus's crew. We get like I said, the very happy-go-lucky music in the background. They're like, welcome, blah, 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 da, 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 where, blah, blah, and then that's when one of the ships shoots both ships out of the sky, just takes them out. And, they're arriving to Skull Ridge Island, aka La Luna, which I'm still cracking up about. I said Skull Ridge Island, I meant Skull Ridge Mountain. Let me see. Yeah, so Catholops helps them down. He told them, like, hey, like, good luck on your adventure. I want to, hopefully I'll be able to meet y'all again and I can be able to have more conversations. But then that's when SM33 mentions to them, like, hey, like, my captain laid out, this is where, like, the Indiana Jones feel comes into play. Laid out these specific traps that will pretty much take you out permanently. So watch your step. That was letting us know, once SM33 said that, like, watch your step, like, okay, somebody's going to trip something. And who was that somebody, you might question, because they were even looking down at the ground too. Well, at least SM33 was. And that was Neil, because he's walking, they don't, again, it's sand and stuff and dirt. You don't really know what's really hiding underneath all of that stuff. Um, but they, in the midst of all that, they see that there's bones on the ground and stuff like that. But again, Neil stepped on the trigger, so yeah. We get this laser type thing that almost hit Silver and SM33 first, and then luckily enough, the kids are the height that they are, because they didn't have to budge at all here in this spotter. They didn't have to move not an inch. Oh, sorry, reading a text from one of my brothers. Yeah, they didn't. I'm definitely glad that this spot was here, because yeah, something bad could have happened here, specifically with the kids. But luckily enough, they're at that height where they did not have to move or budge at all. So they were just lucky to just miss them. But I think I got the screenshot of the trigger too. I think, yep, there's the trigger. And then I think that's when they switched, or they were getting ready to switch to the other pirates. Because we do get this spot here with the one security guard taking a rock and throwing it at this other trap, and it's like a magnet or something like that, because there's this trap up here that, yeah, if you get trapped in that, you're done, son. It's a wrap. It's over. It's game over, man. Game over. But what's his face shoots him and takes him out, because he was all like, yeah, like, don't he was trying to say, like, yeah, don't be afraid or whatever. But that's, like I said, it's the Brutus crew. They take him out. And we see Pocket here with him and stuff. I was just like, man, like, that's wild. It's messed up, son. Straight up. But then that's when we get to the the water here. As soon as I saw the water, I was like, yeah, there's something about this water. As soon as I saw it, once I got it, I'm like, there's something about the water, because they don't want to just start walking into the water. You never want to just try to walk into some water that you see, thinking that it's okay, it's safe. It's really not, right? But this also too lets you know that there are other tunnels leading to this one spot, as we see per this image. So that was cool. Too cool for school. And then that's when they're trying to figure out, what's with the water. And he tell SM33 to test it. He puts his little foot in there, found out it's acid. Yeah, we don't want to go walking into that stuff. But then we find out that they can actually skip the spot. Didn't we do that? Actually, no, I didn't. I thought I grabbed. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, we see that, they're like figuring out the little riddle of, because the, up in the ceiling, there was some like ruin type of wording at the top of the ceiling. Here it goes. Stating, because KB was the one that read it, was just saying, to get to the next section, you have to give up something that's super important. And they were like, saying like it's got to be life, but pretty much, uh, luckily enough, but not luckily enough, because I personally feel like Silvo has more of these credits on him. Like he's a pirate, he has, he had them give up a lot of the um, credits to him. I think he had them give him all of the credits that they had. But again, he had this one. I kind of feel like he has a little bit more. I know he slammed a lot of specific credits on the table back at the front desk, but per this spot here, I do feel like he still has. This wasn't his last one, to be honest, because he tosses it into the acid water, and it eventually, after like I think like 30 seconds, 30 plus seconds, that's when the water dissipates, and they're able to walk down. And he even, looks at women, he says, "Hey, like, see, you're really on a real adventure here, right?" And they, once they get into the room, we see why he's making that statement, and that is because there is indeed, because they, the pirate crew came and was shooting at him and stuff. They closed the door behind them. We see that there's a treasure trove of a lot of treasure in this room, like a lot. And I do, as always, you still want Wim to kind of think before he acts, but he's just one of the main characters that he doesn't use his brain, logical wise currently, because as we see, a lot of the other three kids don't really do what he does, and that's literally like, "Ooh, what's this?" and starts touching stuff, pushing buttons and stuff. Again, he is technically the reason why they're, on this adventure in the first place, because he pushed the green button back on the ship, back in episode 1. So yeah, it's like, dude, like, don't touch anything. There was this elephant, golden statue here that stood out to me. Kind of reminded me of Neil, to be honest. But they, at the end of the day, we're looking for stuff, and that's the thing. And that's the thing. Neil was actually looking at this specific statue, so it's just like, it makes me wonder, like, is there a connection to Neil, right? But again, they're looking around. They see this, KB's looking at this looking like a planet type thing, with something in the middle of it that was cool to see. But then, per Wim's character, he's looking around and he notices something specific. And this is why I mentioned about the High Republic, is this specific lightsaber, is that, it's another thing that's standing out in the room. Wim sees it more than everybody else. It is like a silverish, goldish type of thing, and that is like a color that is resemblance of the High Republic. So, Wim does get excited. He's just like, man, like, let's see. But Neil is the one that finds. And actually, if we really look, it just popped in my head just now, mentioning that now Neil's the one that found the coordinates of Aten back on at Akron. And also, too, Neil was the one that finds the roast on the table here that doesn't look fully cooked, because he mentions everything on here, the table looks rotten except for this roast. So it just made me just like, like I said, it just popped in my head just now, like, oh, that is right. Neil did find the coordinates at Aten first back on at Akron at the quote unquote supervisor's office. And he, like I said, per the scene, he finds what you call it. But then we see that Neil tried to get on the stool here, and it falls through. as another trap, and Silvo saved his life for now, right? But he pulls the roast switch up, and it reveals what they have been looking to try to find, and that is coordinates. Pulls up the specific coordinates for Ad-Aden, excuse me. Let me see. I think this is like around where the little pirate statue in the background and all of that. This was just cool. I thought this was cool to see. Specifically here. And turns to SM33 and asks him, like, hey, can you get the key information and show, is there a recording and all of that? And yeah, he has SM33 pull up Tak Renaud. He's talking. And I try my best to get the best image because it's all fuzzed out and everything. And I think this was the best image I can get of Tak Renaud here. I think this is the best image that I could grab. Still can't really tell what Renaud looks like. Because you're definitely wondering. Definitely has that pirate voice type of a feel. But, some people are thinking that Tak Renaud is the supervisor. They just landed the ship with SM33 on it and has been living on Ad-Aden since, and is basically hiding in plain sight. And like I said, there are other people that think like Ad-Aden is just a space and place where robots are controlling. So it's just like it's just like one of those things. But this is where the thing shifts, because we do see that Silvo did tell SM33 to turn the asset back on the outside. I think he was just listening. I thought I had the image of him like pointing in the direction, but yeah, once he said that, I was like, yeah, it's really about the shift. And they're like, they're like, the deal was you would get us home, you'll get a reward, blah blah blah. But because he has the specific key information that he needs, I personally feel like Silvo was probably being more fond of the kids and really enjoying their company and really being a little bit open and honest with them and stuff like that. But his pirate instincts just went over 9,000 here, and he's like, I invoke the challenge to the seat of captain. SM33, per his programming, can't go against that rule. But again, per the conversation, he's pretty much saying like, hey, like, all you have to do is yield the position, and I won't have to harm you. Because it sounds like he doesn't want to harm any of them. And that's why he looked to, once he gained the, I'm not going to show the image. I don't think I even got it anyway. But I will show that, Fern did grab this and try to hit him, but he used the force and threw it across the room. All of that stuff. And he pretty much tells SM33, like, hey, take them into custody for mutiny against their captain, blah, blah, blah. But I do like the fact that Wim had the lightsaber. He stood here. There was the music playing, the hype around it. But I do like that they, kept it real. Like, yeah, he can't. He's not. Wim's not a Jedi, dog. He's not. Because to be honest, I kind of feel like if he was pointing the lightsaber up, per the positioning, it may have not went well. It was just best that this happened. Hits, he turned out a lightsaber on upside down. It shoots into the air, skids across the floor. Um, all of that stuff. So I just thought that this spot was just a little bit of hype, but more good towards Wim's character. Like, yes, this needed to occur. You can't. You're not a. You're not a Jedi. That's what you want to be, but you're. Maybe. Wim. Could be possibly become a Jedi or whatever later on in life, but he hasn't shown any signs of being force, really fully force sensitive or anything at all in the show. But he does quick on his feet. He hits the trigger, sends the kids down, and we see that SM-33 uses the force, grabs the lightsaber, pulls the chosen, turns it on. End of the episode. So yeah, that was a very fun episode that I really enjoyed. Like I said, keynotes is that Silvo Silvo, like I said, was probably more than likely fond of the kids. He just, his pirate instincts came through because he gained the real information that he was looking for, and he's just like, look, I need to just, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna take. I think he was. I more than likely felt like he was gonna take them home, but under the power rule of you're now my, my prisoners type of thing. Because I felt like he still wasn't gonna hurt the kids. He just needed to force them to basically force Fern to turn over the captain leadership over to him. And I now also too want to wonder and ponder about, like, the kids, like, is the Silvo name his real name? What is Silvo an actual Padawan? Was he at the Jedi Academy? Was he a former Padawan? Who was his master? If any of that stuff is actually the case, because he's a little bit of force sensitive, he can use the force. To me, like I said earlier in the scene, like I said, 99% sure he's a force user. Like other people I've seen that said he probably just can control metal. He's not a force user at all. But again, we'll see, because he has the lightsaber in his hand. We'll see what happens with this information. But we're now 3 episodes left in the show now, and just wondering and curious what's to come next. How are the kids gonna, because that's the thing, there's one ship for them, how are they gonna leave? But that's probably more so maybe they'll get their ship, and then Silver will get on one of the Brutus's Captain Brutus's ships from the pirates. Probably get we'll have 2 different ships and Silvo firing on them. So I think that's what's going to happen in episode 6 for Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. And I'm just wondering and curious what else is going to happen, and are the parents going to maybe possibly hop on their own ship? Maybe will they possibly, but we still haven't really found any other key information about the barrier either on that Aden. But we did find out that they do Republic Mint credits. I think that's what it's called, where they can make a plethora of credits. I don't know how many, if it's a infinite amount of credits that they can create, but again, because they found this information out back on Ridge Mountain here now, and Silvo has this key information, I'm wondering if he's gonna get to a space and place on that Aten that can create there has to be probably more than likely a hidden space on that Aten where there's a possible machine that creates this possible unlimited credit thing, because they are, again, one of the old Republic um, uh, jewels, planet jewels that Kim was talking about. So, we're getting a lot of this stuff per this show now. 6 episodes, excuse me, 5 episodes in, 3 episodes left, and just hoping for the more of hope well more so hoping for some key information on Silvo as we're getting ready to find out what this Aten planet really is about, how it's really functioning, all of this stuff. We'll hopefully we'll get all, because there's been no information on the season 2 from what I've seen. I think it's just a one-off type of thing. So we're probably more than likely gonna get all of that information on the final episode 8. So and maybe these kids will pop up in other future content shows, and maybe an animated show or something like that in the future and over the next 4 or 5 years. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, all in all, I give this episode like a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, this was a fun show. Been loving it from episode 1. Been smiling ear to ear, made me feel like a kid, all of that stuff. I really can't wait for episode 6 on Tuesday, and I'm just looking forward to what my neighbors are doing upstairs. What's to come down the line with these last few episodes at hand. But with that, guys, I'm about to be out because I'm getting ready to go get some dinner and kind of relax. And I'm probably gonna possibly look to work on a Andor video, because I've been itching to do Andor again for the channel. And I'm probably gonna look to do some live stream Andor video, live stream discussions on Andor, and possible predictions for Andor season 2, because we're only a few months away from April 22nd, guys. So I'm really looking forward to Andor season 2. Really, really looking forward to it. Really can't wait. But like I said, I might do I was thinking about it. I might do an Andor video tonight. So we'll see. We'll see. Probably be up tomorrow. But with that, I'm out. Like I said, if you've watched this entire live stream, leave comments section below if you feel up to it. Leave comments. Let's talk about some things. And as always, I will hopefully talk to you all next time with another video and or stream. Stay safe, stay humble, and remember, the